Hello everyone, my name's Dean. Let's talk crypto. This is where you subscribe for daily Bitcoin updates and technical analysis. We track the price of Bitcoin as a proxy for the cryptocurrency markets at large. Today is November 6th, 2024, and it's the day after the US presidential election. And I'll start by saying, if your nominee, if you're an American and you're the nominee that you voted for won, congratulations. And if you voted for the other nominee that didn't win, or you're not American and you're disappointed in the outcome of this very important election, I'll say that everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. I wouldn't worry about it so much. All right, let me just start by saying that. All right, enough of that. Looking at Bitcoin, yesterday we said that we were likely going to come to these levels. We were likely going to make an all-time high, but that we would stall out once we did make an all-time high, and we wouldn't go too much further. So I want to look at that just really quickly. A lot of people are calling this the Trump pump, and a lot of analysts are super emotional about the fact that, somebody who is perceived as a pro-crypto nominee won, and so they think the price is just going to go up in a straight line or something like that. But obviously that's not how it works. Yesterday, we looked at this price action, the day before yesterday, we looked at this price action and said, oh, we're likely going to go up, but we're likely going to stall out once we get up here, because this looks corrective, and the relationship between these two waves is clearly corrective. So we don't expect we expect for this to be an initial break of structure. Ergo, we're expecting a corrective pattern, some sort of running flat correction. So that's still on the chart. That's still on the table. The invalidation for that thesis is that we break 77,400 on this chart. If that happens, then Bitcoin's going much, much higher, and then we can talk about that if and when it happens. But otherwise, I'm seeing Bitcoin stalling out for the rest of the week. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday dumping, and recalibrating or consolidating at these levels. Obviously, I also said that this was a probability or a possibility, but I think this level right here, around 69K, 69.5, is more probable as a downwards target for Bitcoin. Okay, that's Bitcoin. If you look at the DXY, the US dollar currency index, this chart also kind of corroborates that read, the read I just made. Let's go on the 4-hourly time frame, and you can see that we actually did create a gap here, and gaps are typically filled in. So for those of you who may be new, who don't know what I'm looking at, this is the US dollar currency index, a relative it's an indicator that shows the relative strength of the US dollar pegged against a basket of world reserve currencies. And so why do we look at the US dollar currency index in crypto? It's because over time, over many years, over the lifespan of crypto, you can trace the US dollar currency index and the Bitcoin price, and they're almost inversely correlated, almost perfectly so, on a high time frame. So typically, when the US dollar currency, when the US DXY, dollar currency index, goes up, Bitcoin goes down, and vice versa. And that makes sense, right? Because you use the US dollar to buy Bitcoin, so you trade dollars for Bitcoin, you trade dollars for stocks, so on and so forth, all risk on assets. Gaps here, why am I mentioning gaps? Because gaps tend to be filled. So if we have a gap to the downside, it's very likely that we're coming down. But if you go on the hourly time frame, it looks like the momentum indicator just crossed bullish. So I don't expect for us to come down just yet. I expect for this to chop sideways and up a little bit until maybe next week, the end of next week, which is the next full moon on the 15th, and the weekend of the 15th, which is 15th is Friday, and then I think 16th and 17th is Saturday and Sunday. I think on the 18th, Monday or Tuesday, we fill that gap when we start going down and Bitcoin starts going up. So that's what I'm seeing. Again, it's corroborating our read on the actual chart that Bitcoin's likely to go sideways. The USDXY is also likely to go sideways. Okay, so that's Bitcoin. But I really, really, really want to talk about altcoins. And altcoins are really important. More important than people give it credit for. Obviously, we talk about Bitcoin all the time. We use Bitcoin to track the cryptocurrency markets at large. But to be honest, that's kind of the only reason I'm interested in Bitcoin. What are altcoins doing? And the reason a lot of people are interested in altcoins at the exclusion of Bitcoin is because altcoins offer a promise. And I call this the cryptocurrency promise. Most of us are in this space not for the tech. Obviously, the tech's cool. You can also be in it for the tech and the innovation, but for the promise of making it, for the promise of financial freedom, for the promise of not having to work 80 to 100 hour weeks. And still, even if some of us worked 80 to 100 hour weeks, we still wouldn't be able to make ends meet, right? The economy is such that it's hard to buy a home in this economy. It's hard to get a good rate on a loan. It's hard to do anything. So this is why so many people are attracted to this space. And those kinds of gains that you would make with a nominal investment are not found in Bitcoin. Usually, Bitcoin requires for you to buy a decent amount of Bitcoin. Bitcoin goes up a little bit, you make a lot of money, but you have to put in a decent amount of money first. Not so with altcoins, which have crazy run-ups, right? And we've all heard stories. Oh my God, such and such put in a few $100 and made X amount of money over the course of the bull run. Now, they're set. Their life is completely different, and so on and so forth. That's the promise of crypto. I think that's found in altcoins, and that has happened 2 times before in crypto's history, and you can see it on this chart. And I'm referring to the 2 previous major alt seasons, the altcoin runs, okay, where the Bitcoin dominance chart, which shows the relative strength of Bitcoin vis-a-vis the rest of the cryptocurrency market, goes down. That's when the whole market goes up, and altcoins absolutely wreck Bitcoin's market cap by going up much more than Bitcoin's market cap. Okay, so here second one, the first one was in 2016, 2017. The next one was in 2020. And this one right here is what we're waiting for. So this is why everybody's interested in this Bitcoin dominance chart, because it can show us when that next alt season is happening. And this is my understanding of it. One, looking on a high time frame, you can see our momentum indicators are cross bearish and they're overbought, so to speak, right? They're overheated to the upside. You have strong resistances to the upside that you're hitting, okay? And you can see on the high time frame, that's a really strong resistance. On the lower time frames, you can see that you've been chopping up in this ending diagonal right here. And we know ending diagonals are wedges, and wedges from a technical standpoint are bearish patterns that tend to break down towards the base of the pattern. So we're expecting this, and that should usher in our alt season. That should usher in the promise of crypto. Okay, and when you're looking at Bitcoin, let's just go back to Bitcoin real quick just to make this point. You're looking at Bitcoin in this scenario, right? And everybody's really excited. They say, oh, Trump won the election. That means crypto is going to go up forever because he promised X, Y, and Z. And it's like, people are telling you things that have zero to do with good technical analysis, and they're overly emotional, and they're really happy that their candidate 1, but at the same time the chart's screaming take profit, and this is probably a corrective uptrend, but they're still like, no, we're going to 80K, and that's fine. And that's precisely when you see these kinds of patterns, it traps people who they don't want to see what's in front of them, okay? But at the same time, even when Bitcoin's doing this, historically, well, not historically, let me say this, more often than not, whatever Bitcoin's doing, altcoins are doing just as well. So if Bitcoin's dumping, altcoins are dumping even harder. If Bitcoin's staying put and going sideways, altcoins are going sideways, except during these special times. And those special times are during these alt seasons when the promise of crypto is fulfilled. And this is what I'm waiting for. This is what I'm looking for. This is what we're all waiting for. Will the promise of crypto be fulfilled? Okay, so we saw it on the we saw it on the Bitcoin dominance chart, where there's a high likelihood that this wedge, this ending diagonal that's been going, for some reason my pen stopped working. Let's try it again. For some reason, this ending diagonal that's been going on for a while, let's try doing it by hand, okay, is likely to break down, okay? Sure. Even more compelling, or equally as compelling, is the total 3 chart. All right. A few new subscribers. For those of you who don't know, the total 3 chart is an aggregate chart of cryptocurrency assets, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. So that's total 3. Total 1 is everything, including Bitcoin. Total 2 is everything minus Bitcoin. Total 3 is everything minus Bitcoin and Ethereum. Okay. So you can see on this chart, on the high time frame, you have a very nice inverse head and shoulders bullish reversal pattern that has formed over the past few months, okay? So this is just a bunch of sort of wedges to the bottom. You're making, how do you know it's bullish? Because, I'm sorry, I'm using my fingers, my index finger and my thumb, my pen for some reason. Okay, there we go. My pen's working now. Okay, so let me draw it out for you properly. You have a nice rounded bottom. So typically in technical analysis, extremities are rounded. So bottoms that are good, like reliable bottoms are rounded. Reliable tops are rounded. Okay, you can see that as an artifact or as an attribute of those extremities. Okay, so bullish reversal patterns, you should see the rounded bottom. You should see the head, which protrudes further out than the shoulders, right? This is the left shoulder, this is the right shoulder, and this is kind of some consolidation. Also of note, you've come to this resistance right here at 638, 639, 640 billion multiple times. You hit it once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. This would be the 6th time. So it's not like you're new to this resistance. Obviously, you're at resistance, but you've tested it multiple times. Eventually, it has to break. Why is it more likely to break now than before? First, because that bullish reversal pattern is complete, okay? You could say, well, why didn't it break then, Dean? Well, sometimes it doesn't break the first time. Sometimes it needs additional consolidation even after the structure is complete, okay? That's why. Secondly, just looking at the nature of the tests of this line, there's only one here that's a clean test. I wouldn't even call it a test. That's a clean attack. And when you're looking at impulsive price action, like proper impulsive price action, it has a very nice wick to the bottom. It's uncomplicated. It's clean. It's directed. And also, it follows through. So just looking at this chart on the daily time frame, you could see only one instance of the price having those criteria that I just mentioned. One being clean on the bottom. Okay, so this one's particularly clean on the bottom, but with no follow through. The follow through is weak. As soon as it got here, you can tell it's going to more likely than not, retrace. Okay, but here, look, in 2 daily candles, you've reached the target. You've reached your resistance. So you're more likely than not just going to consolidate and reject here, but you're more likely than not follow through. And the follow through target is simply the height of the inverse head and shoulders or bullish reversal pattern superimposed from the side of breakout, which gives you your $900 billion to $1 trillion target in altcoins. Okay, and if you zoom out just a tad bit, you can see that makes sense. You're essentially putting in a target that comes back up to this previous level of resistance. Okay, so it makes sense also because it's all fractal. On the small time frame, you have your nice bullish reversal pattern, inverse head and shoulders, which, if it breaks out, leads to a larger same such pattern, inverse head and shoulders. That's the fractal mathematical sort of pattern nature that you observe in markets over and over again. A smaller one leads to a larger one, leads to an even larger one, and so on and so forth. So that's in play. And this aggregate chart shows if that does indeed play out, you can expect 40 to 60% pump on this chart, which means that some altcoins are going to go 100, 200% to the upside. Other altcoins may just go 30 to 40%, something like that. So that's what I'm seeing. My big question, what I'm looking for, I'm not really concerned with Bitcoin too much. I don't really have, I'd be surprised if Bitcoin broke this high that I've got on this chart, right? To invalidate my thesis. I'm pretty comfortable in the idea that Bitcoin's just going to chop sideways and then dump. But I'm looking for and really expecting big moves in altcoins. And when I'm talking about big moves, I'm talking about like massive moves, the likes of which we haven't seen except 4+ years ago in the previous alt season. So that's what excites me in the market today. That's what people should be talking about. If they're talking about Bitcoin and only Bitcoin, you're missing the forest for the trees. The story today is altcoins, and the altcoins that are breaking out and fulfilling the promise of cryptocurrency. Hopefully you guys are well positioned to benefit from that. And that's all I've got for you. If you find value in this analysis, please like, share, and subscribe. Consider buying me a coffee to support the channel at the pinned comment below. And I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.